Broadcasting live on AM 950, the voice of Minnesota, the place where you come for good conversation, the place where you come for thoughtful Sunday morning religious engagement. I'm Doug Pagitt. You can follow the show over at DougPagitRadio.com. You can see upcoming guests. You can see past guests. You can listen to past shows. You can watch past shows. You can watch this current show right now. Joined here in the studio, as I mentioned to you, by Matt Henry, wine expert. And you might think, oh, see, wine, that's that elitist thing. Those people that drink that wine, even those white wine drinkers, those people that speak that particular wine language. Well, I just want to let you know that's not the way it's rolling around here. Matt's got a bottle in here that he wants to talk about when it comes to this industry, the wine industry. And it's plastic. Yeah, it's a plastic wine bottle.
The future.
And it has a screw top on it.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I just have to say that I would imagine 20 years ago, if you had said to some highfalutin wine expert, right, let's go with a plastic bottle with a screw on top, they would have been like, we're not selling to the wino industry, right? It's not Ripple or whatever that is. We were talking during the break, you go all Sanford and Son on the thing. Really?
Yeah.
Really? A plastic bottle?
The Australians dragged the wine world into it. Totally did.
Is that who we're trusting on this?
Yeah, exactly. Well, the Austrians and the Germans followed very closely.
Okay.
But that's what we've got. We've got this great
plastic wine bottle
right here. You can get this at the cork door, but it's 60% less carbon footprint, 90% less weight, 100% recyclable, and you get more wine out of it because the container is thinner. And this thing is so light compared to this. Now,
and they sell wine based on volume, not on ounces or something. Is that what you're getting? Is that why you get more? Like, why don't they just make a bigger wine bottle?
Yeah, well, this is tradition, Doug. Come on.
I thought drinking stuff out of plastic was bad for you.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. So we get the natural health coach sitting in that chair that you're in right now. She's going to say, watch out for your endocrine disruptors that are going to come by drinking out of the plastic. Yeah. Is there concern with fermented drink inside these plastic bottles?
Fermented tanks are used all the time. Fiberglass fermented, they use ceramic, everything. I mean,
so plastic's okay?
Yeah. I mean, it's
tell you the future, it's plastic.
Really?
I remember that from 1969.
Oh, yeah, The Graduate. But when you're looking at this thing, I've got basically the two extremes here. We've got a California plastic bottle, and then I've got it's not a champagne because it's not from Champagne, but it's a sparkling bottle that anybody knows about it. It's got to be a half-inch thick.
Yeah,
super heavy.
Beat someone to death with that thing.
This thing was only shipped halfway across the world from
Club
Tasmania. Some carbon footprint in this bad boy.
All right, so you're bringing up the fact that a glass bottle, it weighs a lot. It takes a lot of work to produce that glass, actually. And they ship it all the way. It weighs so much. And this plastic bottle from California to Minnesota is in this apparently recyclable container with a screw cap.
Yeah. No, I mean, I like this is good stuff, but it was in a refrigerated container all the way from Tasmania to my doorstep in Minneapolis. So.
All right. Okay, so in this industry, there's some movement to go a whole new direction away from cork and glass, basically into plastic containers with a screw top.
Yeah, I mean the cork.
And the guy shouldn't be embarrassed to show up at his friend's house and to hand his friend this bottle of wine. You're saying that a reasonable fella could show up, look at the host of the celebration, and hand him the plastic bottle and not be ashamed?
Could be. You could do, yeah. The screw top isn't really the big thing here. That's been going on for a little while now, 5-10 years.
Yeah, really.
And it's not a super green element, but yeah, you could do that with respect. The plastic, but this is.
Now you have to lead with it's got a much smaller carbon footprint before the person says you brought me plastic.
It's got a great finish and a great. No, it's not. It's got a great carbon.
Okay, that's interesting. All right, so the 4 Ps. One of them was
packaging. Yeah, that's what this thing is.
And that's going on in the wine industry.
Yeah, they're looking at that. Now, I mean, there's people, there's planting, there's process. They've got the process and the planting thing down, and that's quite a big deal. But the people, I met with the folks over at Peace Coffee, and I realized very quickly that the wine industry is behind the coffee industry in terms of the fair trade aspect. I mean, it's hardly being dealt with. Now, organic, sustainable, and biodynamic methods in planting and in the vinification, meaning the making of the wine versus the viticulture, which is the growing of the grapes. They've got those three things down pretty well when it comes to the making of the wine.
The
the
production.
sustainable, the biodynamic, and the organic. They've got that down.
So if someone says, I want to live a sort of a more holistic, sustainable, paying attention to my footprint life,
Yeah.
and you want to go wine, you can get that on the production of the wine side, but,
but
there's a lot of work to do.
Yeah, there's not a big movement for fair trade. So when it comes to the labor, the people, the people, it's not there yet. It's just not there yet. They're working on it. A lot of the South African wines are working on it. For some reason, they've taken the lead on fair trade, grape growing and making and so forth. So that's what they've got there. But the big I don't know how much time we have, but the big lead is they've got the biodynamic, and biodynamic is a movement throughout all of agriculture. But it's really big in winemaking, actually. And it was started by an Austrian in the 20s. He's the same guy that, Rudolf Steiner, the same guy that started the Waldorf schools.
Really?
Yeah. And
I like those. Just on a side, I like those guys that do like 3 or 4 things. Like the guy that invented the hot dog, and he also came up with how to get your appendix out.
And he was a conductor for the
That's
right.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I hate those guys.
So anyway, that guy.
Yeah, that guy, 1920s, Rudolf Steiner from Austria started the what ended up being biodynamic methods of agriculture. And it's basically based on a lot of the moon rotation of the moon and so forth. And so, whether you've got the water table being pulled up, and it's really interesting. You've got ram horns with manure plantings under the ground.
I see. So using groundwater and not just air water.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's even more mystical than that in terms of the magnetic pull of the moon. And if the water table is low, then you have less water in the grapes, which is a good thing, and the wine doesn't get watered down. So you wait for that perfect moon to harvest, so that your grapes aren't diluted with water. Incredible.
Really?
Yeah, that's biodynamic methods. I mean, that's just really superficial. It's really intense, actually. I'm just barely getting into it. And then you've got your organic, which is pretty traditional, and then you've got your sustainable, which is, whatever. But I mean, people are doing some incredible things. Instead of using, killing the animals, they'll just put up a perch, and they'll get an owl out, or they'll get a hawk, and they'll put some perches, and they'll bring in the birds, and so they'll do it naturally, get rid of the rodents and so forth that are corroding the vines, rather than killing them with.
So rather than putting pesticides or animal poisons out there to keep the animals out, the rodents out, they bring a hawk and an owl in and let them kill each other.
No, let them kill the rodents.
Yeah.
Which is, one at night, one
at
at
night.
day.
I just got to imagine. I don't really have a minute left. I feel like we got to hold Joe. So I know these people that don't want to buy plastic water bottles anymore.
Yeah.
They want to carry around a tin, that falls in your foot and about, crushes your.
They have them in metal as well now. I mean, this is
metal metal wine bottles.
This is at the forefront, though. It's
Doug Pagitt Radio, where you're finding out about the future, plastic and metal wine bottles.
Yeah.
All right, can you hang on through into the next segment? It's Carlos. I mean, she'll get on us about this, but it'll be all right. No, she's not going to get bumped. She's going to be shared, because we didn't get to all these P's. There's a couple of P's that I want to touch on here. Doug Pagitt Radio, religious radio, tries to help you have a full-rounded life in all possible areas. 952-946-6205 you want to be part of this conversation, or head on over there to DougPagittRadio.com. We'll be back here on AM 950, the voice of Minnesota, in a second.